Welcome to 512 Degrees, everybody, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of chefs, artists, athletes, and influencers. Join us as we explore their extraordinary lives and uncover the secret ingredients behind their success. Today, we're thrilled to share with you one of our very special conversations from the Texas Monthly BBQ Festival from Lockhart, Texas. We teamed up with our friends at Goodstock by Nolan Ryan to delve into the stories and journeys of four legendary Texas pitmasters. Let's dive in. Awesome. Welcome to 512 Degrees by Texas Tasting, live from the Texas Monthly BBQ Festival. We've got Russell Roegels from Roegels Barbecue down in Houston here. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, super excited to chat with you. How was your trip in? Did you come in yesterday, today?
Well, we came yesterday. We went up to Brotherton's yesterday in Pflugerville and did our thing up there, and then we drove down here this morning. Well, we left Pflugerville this morning at 6:30. Went to Snow's, had breakfast, and then drove over here.
So a barbecue-filled road trip, isn't it?
That's it.
It sounds like.
That is it.
I imagine you've been to a few of these festivals in the past?
Well, I've been doing barbecue since 1988, so I've been to a few.
Yeah. For someone who hasn't been here, describe what the scene is like, what this festival is about, what the vibe you get from here is.
Well, for today here on Saturday, it's just a laid-back vibe. We didn't hit this one last year. We came Sunday, but this is cool, man. There's like no hurry to go wait in a line to get this person's whatever or that person's stuff. It's a cool downtown festival type feel.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my first time here, kind of shocked in a good way by it.
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm going to hit you with like a big question right to start it off with.
Okay.
Texas-style barbecue, Central Texas-style barbecue, how is it different than, barbecue you can get in other places around the United States? Someone maybe comes in from Japan, how would you describe it to them?
Well, the main thing you're going to get in Texas is beef is king here, so you're going to get brisket. There are going to be people that season them differently, but most of the time you're going to get salt and pepper, and then maybe some things around that. You've got 4 different woods that typically people use in Texas. You've got post oak, which the majority of them use. Up in East Texas, you're going to get a lot of people that use hickory. There are people, around that use pecan. And then the further west you get, you're going to have people who use mesquite. So it really just depends on what area of Texas you are in, because it's such a big state and different trees are more, prevalent in certain areas, then that's what you're going to use.
Really cool. And when it comes to those different types of woods, I imagine that if that impacts flavor, how long you cook, and a variety of other factors. Can you go?
Well, not really in how long you cook, but it is a flavor profile. So I help out at Texas A&M over at Camp Brisket and Summer Barbecue Camp, and we'll do Camp Brisket in January. And one of the things on it is we do 4 different woods. The 4 woods that I named, we cook briskets on each of those, and the people who are participating, there is a blind taste test thing. They try to figure out which one it is. And it's funny how most people who grew up in West Texas, they'll like mesquite the best, but the majority of them will go for post oak. Some will do pecan. Up in Northeast Texas, the hickory people. So it's kind of what you grew up on is what you're used to, and that's what you prefer.
I imagine the average person, like if you put 4 plates of meat cooked on the 4 different types of woods in front of me, I probably wouldn't be able to tell a difference.
You would know that there is a difference, but you probably would not know what that difference is. You can definitely tell mesquite versus oak. There's no question on it. The smoke ring typically is a little bit different. It's more of a darker red from what we've seen. The flavor profile is more bold. I mean, it's a different flavor profile on the woods.
Really intriguing. I'm, as you can tell, kind of a nerd. Never really heard about that distinction. Kind of went down a rabbit hole, but kind of rewinding a bit. What was your personal first experience with barbecue, either as a young person, a kid? What was that first exposure like?
So my first thing in barbecue, I grew up outside of Kilgore, Texas, and there's a big franchise up there called Bodacious Barbecue. And so the guy that lived down the road from me owned one of the Bodacious barbecues, and I went with, that's where we went to eat. And so from the time first time I can remember being, working in barbecue, I was 15, and I would go do catering jobs for him and, go there. I didn't know how to do anything, so they would let me pour the tea, and then I would come back and wash dishes. And that, that was basically my introduction into barbecue. But before that, we had eaten, but, I was never a foodie, still am not. I'd tell people I'm kind of the anti-foodie, I'm not real adventurous on a lot of things. But we ate barbecue and didn't think anything of it. But being involved in barbecue, I started whenever I was 15.
And then how did the transition to like, hey, this may be something that I could make a career out of? When did that happen?
Well, it wasn't a plan, I can tell you that. I started whenever I was 15. Whenever I was 18, I went into the Air Force. So I left East Texas, went to Alabama, went to Guam, went to Saudi Arabia, then back to Louisiana. When I got stationed back in Louisiana in 1994, I would go back to Longview on the weekends and work at the barbecue place just to make extra money. And once I got out of the Air Force, I did it for a little while, and then I was like, yeah, this isn't what I want to do. Guy came in, offered me a job doing industrial insulation, and I lasted about 3 months on that. Was like, no way, this is like real people work here. And the whole time after I got out of the military, I started in college, and I was going to school to be a PE teacher or a coach, whatever you want to call it. And so I did that for a while. And then I guess it was July of 2001, the guy who got me in barbecue, we hung out, and I was sitting at his house, and we were having some drinks. And he said, hey, that place that was his nephew's in Houston is for sale, and they were wanting to see if you wanted it. And I was like, man, that would be awesome. And it's a franchise out of Dallas called Baker's Ribs. So me and Misty talked about it for a good 30 seconds at the most, and was like, hey, let's move to Houston. She had just left her job. We had a 13-month-old child, and we had just bought the house I grew up in. And we had both just got our associate's degrees. We had finished that, and by then I was like, no more PE teacher. I'm going to start nursing school. And then this came open, and we left town a week later. This was after Tropical Storm, I think it was Allison hit, and or Alicia, which I forget the names. But Houston had just flooded, so there was nowhere to live. All the apartments were full. We stayed with Misty's aunt for 9 weeks in Deer Park, which is on the complete other side of Houston to where we're at now. I would open the store in the morning, so I'd leave there about 5 o'clock in the mornings, drive to the west side of Houston, and I would drive by Astroworld at night when the fireworks were going off to go home. So I knew how late we were on if I was seeing the grand finale or just the regular fireworks.
Wow, I'm kind of speechless. That's crazy. So you had no experience like managing a restaurant?
Oh God, no.
Like that?
I knew how to cook barbecue, and really that's it, man.
And the cooking was obviously you had worked at the barbecue joint, but
yeah,
still not something you had done like 40 hours a week prior to this.
No, at that time I had. I had left the industrial installation thing and then went back into barbecue, and had done it for about 5.5 years.
And so when you were making that massive life leap, what gave you faith that it was going to work out?
Well, like I said a few minutes ago, we didn't plan on this. I knew what my friend had, and I was like, man, he's got a successful barbecue place. I want what he's got.
Yeah.
And so we took a chance. It was like, hey, this is fun. Let's give it a shot. We can either do it and fall on our face and still move back home because we still had our house there, or we can wait 20 years down the road and go, well, what would happen if we would have done that? So it was just a leap of faith. It was, hey, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
And of course, you show up when a massive storm hit Houston.
Yeah, right afterwards. Yep. So, but the store had been closed at that time from April until July. We reopened July the 11th of 2001. And, the first day that we reopened, we had business, and we were lucky with that. The guy who owned the franchise at the time said, he said, I want you to get out there on that marquee, put opening July the 11th. No kidding. Because they had said they were going to reopen it before, but it never got reopened. So we reopened that day and had business, and I learned a lot real fast. I learned what to do, what not to do. And at that time, I didn't own it. I was just managing it. So from July the 11th until 2001 until January 1st, 2003, I was the manager. January 1st, 2003, we actually made the deal to where we owned it. And we took, that changed everything too. Going from managing something to owning something, you're like, wow, this is different, and if Joe Duncan and Susie Duncan with Baker's Ribs gave me that opportunity, and we took it and ran with it. And there were good times and bad times being with a franchise, but we enjoyed it, and we're thankful to them for it.
How long into that journey? So 2003 is when you said you started to own it. How long after 2003 were you like, hey, this is going to be okay, or I've got my feet under me?
Well, we weren't sure. I mean, the store never did great. We made a living at it. But then in 2011, we had noticed that barbecue was changing, and especially from going from like an East Texas style barbecue to what you see then. Franklin was hot. Louis Miller was hot. There were a couple other places that had all these lines, down the street. We're like, what are they doing that we're not? But at that time, I'd never really been one to go out and eat barbecue. And that was the second year that the Houston BBQ Festival started. And Mike Fulmer just walked by here a minute ago, and he's one of the founders of that. And they let us in on that. And that was really my first time to sample so many other barbecue places at one time. And I was like, man, this is different. I kind of like this. So me and Misty started making our way around the state. And at that festival, we had met Dr. Sable, Dr. Griffin, and Ray Riley with Texas A&M. And they put on a thing there called Camp Brisket and then Barbecue Summer Camp. And so I asked them, hey, man, how could I get involved with that? And luckily, they let me come out there and help. And I keep telling them, yeah, you wanted me to come out. And he's like, no, you said I'm coming regardless. It's me and Dr. Sable have kind of a running joke on that deal. But I went out there and learned a little bit. And we figured, around that time, and like I said, me and Misty, we were going around the state and we were eating at different places going, what are they doing that we're not? What do we need to change to make our product better? And so we decided in about October of 2001 or October of 2003 that, hey, we want to do our own thing. This is what we want to do. So we're going to put our name on it. We're going to leave the franchise. Our franchise agreement was up, and we want to put our own name on it, and we want to start doing something different, do our brand of barbecue from what we've learned it through the things at A&M and along with what we have eaten around the state and seen what other people have done, just picking up different tricks of the trade, to say. And so talked to Joe, the franchise owner, and was like, hey, we can't ever build our name if we're under your name. And he goes, I understand, so we had a peaceful departure on that deal. And December the 11th of 2014, I tell people, and they're like, no way you did this. It was a Friday afternoon. Fast Signs called me up and said, your sign's ready. Said, I'll be there to get it in a few minutes. I backed our catering van up to our porch. Our pole sign sits right on the edge of the porch. About 11:30 to 12 o'clock, we pulled the Baker's Ribs sign down and put the Roegels barbecue sign up. And I said, you walked into Roegels, some people walked into Baker's Ribs to have lunch and they walked out of Roegels barbecue. And so we put our name on there. And in the area that we're at, it's an older crowd, and they don't really like a lot of change to say. And people were like, what's going on here? Well, we saw our sales start dropping. And one day, Misty's sitting there, and she goes, and now, needless to say, we changed pretty much everything there. Changed it to a Central Texas-style barbecue from an old East Texas-style barbecue. And she said, do you think we messed up? I said, no, I don't. Just hold on. Just hold on. I have faith in what we're doing. And one afternoon, I looked out the window as somebody was walking by, and I see this lady walk by, and I said, Misty, Allison Cook just walked by. Allison Cook is the food writer for the Houston Chronicle. And she gave us a great review, and it turned that restaurant into one that was about to close the doors to a thriving restaurant. And then we just got lucky with Texas Monthly. We made the top 25 new or improved barbecue list there. 2 years later, we made the top 50. We made the top 100 restaurants in Houston. And, we're kind of snowballing at the time.
Yeah, it seems like you had faith, and one thing led to the next and all kind of worked out. But
right,
I imagine and it sounds like there's lots of maybe scary and tough moments in there as well.
Oh, definitely. Anytime you do something like that, it's going to be different. Not everybody's going to like it. So the majority of the people did, thank God. There were a few that probably didn't, but that's fine. There were other options out there for them.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're from Houston. So I'm born and raised in Houston and went to college in Austin. And it seems like the people in Austin, there's amazing barbecue there, but they think they're better than everyone else. I'm from Houston. I think Houston's got amazing barbecue, as good, if not better than Austin. Tell me a little bit more about that kind of maybe competition there and about the Houston barbecue scene.
Well, I've heard that as well. And there's great barbecue in Houston, Austin, Dallas. There's great barbecue down South Texas. From where barbecue was 15 years ago to where it is now, it's so many people are doing such high-level barbecue. When I started, I had never even seen a prime-grade brisket. Now pretty much everybody's using prime-grade brisket, or they've not developed, but they came up with upper two-thirds choice, which is your higher choice. So cooking styles have changed. People are doing things just a lot different. But to say that Austin's better than Houston, Houston's better than Austin, Dallas, whatever, I don't get involved in any of that. I don't think it's true. Somebody from Houston might say, yeah, we're better than this and that. There are great places in both cities. And like I said, all around the state. So it's not about who's better than who. If you ask people in the business, they're not going to be for that. It's all, the barbecue community is one big family, and we all kind of stick together, and we're all there to push each other.
Well said, well said. So I show up to Roegels for the first time. What should I order? What would be your go-to order for a first time?
Man, I would say it depends on what day you go. We run different specials every day. And I say not like a price special, but we'll cook something different every day. Of course, we still have your standard, Central Texas style barbecue, but we might throw out, like the one that really hit big for us. We were one of the first people to do the Texas Reuben. So that one really did a lot for us. We do a barbecue sandwich, which is our play on a Cuban. We do some Tex-Mex stuff like, I think it's next Friday, the special is pork carnita torta. Then next Wednesday, we'll do a bourbon chicken rice bowl with a kimchi boudin. So, we're doing all sorts of things. It depends on what you like. We've got something for the traditionalist, and we also have something for somebody who wants to be a little bit more adventurous with a smoked element to it. But everything we do is smoked. You know, it might not be traditional barbecue, but it's still barbecue.
Yeah, those are those are making me hungry, and some bold options. So you're not sticking just to the classics and boring stuff, which is really good, but new stuff is sometimes even better. One thing you mentioned was how the kind of Houston Chronicle reporter kind of got the word out, and I'm curious, kind of the space we play in is social media, influencer marketing, that kind of thing. Have you seen social media kind of impact your business in a positive way as well? Because I see all over social media all the time. And tell me about how that has played into kind of your continued success and growth and whatnot, or maybe it hasn't.
Social media has been huge. Social media is what got Allison Cook in there. We do a bourbon banana pudding, and she saw that, and that's what brought her in for the first time. But going from say 2001 to 2024, I don't even remember what year social media really took off. I mean, it used to be MySpace back in the day, and then it really, Facebook and then Instagram, I think, is the one thing that really hit for restaurants, because people eat with their eyes before they actually eat with their mouth. Because if it looks good, they're going to think it tastes good. If it looks like crap right off the bat, they're going to, even if it's wonderful, they're not going to be 100% satisfied. But it's definitely helped. Anytime we put stuff on social media, which is every single day, we get, feedback off of it, and they're like, hey, we saw this on Instagram, or we saw it on Facebook or Twitter or X or whatever they call it this week. That's what brought us in here. So it's huge in the restaurant business. I mean, you think, if you really thought about it, what would restaurants be like? What restaurants would be hot, and which ones that are or not, if there was no such thing as social media? You take a look at, like, say, KG Barbecue. Without social media, would anybody know that this guy's putting out this kick-ass barbecue that's got an Egyptian, flair to it? They wouldn't. I mean, it's gotta be. It's part of every restaurateur's life right now, and you have to use it. I mean, there are a few guys that are successful, but if it wasn't for social media, I don't think they would be where they're at. It got them to the game.
Yeah, and I agree. And I've had their lamb chops from KG Barbecue, really, really amazing. You've mentioned the barbecue camp, Texas A&M barbecue camp. Tell me a bit more about that. I haven't heard about that. Is it something for professionals, or anyone can sign up?
So anybody can sign up. It's through Food Waste Texas, and it's at Texas A&M. So there's Camp Brisket, and then there's Barbecue Summer Camp. To be able to get in it, you have to be a member of Food Waste Texas, and they're over the past.
What is Food Waste Texas?
They're a nonprofit organization that their deal is preserving food history of Texas. A guy named Marvin Bindley's the president of it. I think that's what his title is, but it was founded by a group of people in Texas, restaurateurs. I know Greg Morago, I think, was a founding member. He was the editor for the Chronicle. You've got Jim Gosson, who was a big pioneer in Cajun food coming to Texas, and just a lot of, influential people in the food industry that started that thing. And it's a great organization, and it really, it's a good deal to get a hold of. They do a symposium, I think, every year somewhere that's good. They do Camp Vino, but the main things that I know of is Summer Barbecue Camp. Summer Barbecue Camp and Camp Brisket, which it started out, I think the first year they didn't fill up, but then it caught on and it was selling out in like seconds. And then they went to a lottery, and now they're on a points-based system. So like I said, you have to be a member of Foodways. You get points for each year that you're a member. And I think the deal is now is if you've been a member 5 years and you haven't got in, it's an automatic in. So that camp's gotten a lot bigger. But what it does is you take guys like myself and, anybody, that's been there, like Aaron Franklin's been there, Evan Leroy's been there, Wayne Miller, a lot of guys in the industry have come there and been on panels, giving their barbecue story, talking about different woods, different fire management, different grades, different, seasonings, everything on brisket or pork ribs or pulled pork or everything. It's a great thing for the backyard guy or even the professional to come in and learn. I know Arnis Robbins, who owns Evie Mays, he showed up there the first time right after they had got started, and he paid to come there. He's one of the top dogs in the state, and since then he's been back numerous times and been on the panels. Mark Smith with Patriotic Pig, he came down there and paid, and then and waited their time to get in. I don't think Artis did. That was before it was just crazy. But Mark did, and he's come back and helps it since. So it's a good deal. I've been there for the last 10 years, and every time I leave there, I learn a little bit of something else. And you might not really catch it right then, but 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks down the road, you're sitting there cooking and you're like, oh yeah, this person did this or said this, and let's try this. And it was like, wow, that really works. So you pick up little, tricks, even for somebody who's been in it 30 years. I can imagine somebody who's just going in there, who's only cooked 3 briskets in their life, what they come out of there learning. So it's a great camps, great information, just a great group of people. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing experience. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get myself a ticket to this.
Foodwastexas.com.
Awesome. We'll check it out. So you all have 2 locations now currently, one in Houston, one in Katy. Is that correct?
That is correct.
When did the Katy location come about?
And let's see, February of 22, we opened the doors. February 5th of 2022, we opened that one, and we did that. We always said if we ever opened a second location, it was going to be in Katy because that's where we live. Or we live right on the edge of Katy. We're not, like I said earlier, we're not in the downtown area or anything, but we've always lived in that area. And so our daughter, which is our youngest, graduated high school, and I said, well, let's start looking. And we looked in, numerous different places, even outside of Katy, and came across this building that was already built out, and it was there was a place called Cowboy Chicken there, which is a smaller franchise out of Dallas. And so we, talked to the broker and came up with a plan and decided, just to dive in and go for it. We signed a lease and, thought we could be open in 6 weeks, and it took about 5 months to get it open just because we were waiting on permitting and all that. And we started doing our thing out there, tried to put out the best barbecue we could every day.
You and I were talking a little bit before this, and you were saying how customers in Katy maybe want something different than customers at your Houston location. Give me a little more insight into that. Why do you think that is?
Man, I don't really know. A lot of in Houston, we close at 3 o'clock every day, so it's just lunch. Our average customer there is probably a 55-year-old man, white-collar job. We get into Katy, and we're open at lunch and dinner. So we have to adapt our menu to more families. We've got, ladies that come in there as well, and we've got kids that come in there. So we need to have things on our menu that are, more offerings that they will like. I mean, not everybody wants to come in and have a brisket plate. There are ladies that come in that do. But then there are ladies that are just like, no, that's too heavy. I don't want that. So you have to offer something else along with turkey, chicken. We tried salad a few times, and that just didn't work. And I said, never again. I think I've tried salad 3 times and said, we're not doing it anymore. But we do burgers some. For kids, we have little mini corn dogs. We have fryers in Katy where we don't in Houston, and we're not going to. So if anybody's listening to this, we're not putting fryers in Houston. That's just not happening. But we just had to make it more family oriented out there.
Yeah, very unique. And then you're representing a different brand on your shirt, Brotherton's. Tell me about that.
So Brotherton's Black Iron Barbecue, John Brotherton started that really out of his house, man. He was cooking out of his house and then out of a food trailer. He had Hall of Flame before that. And I met John in 2022, a long time ago. And the first, Misty, my wife, met him before I did. She went on a barbecue run with a couple guys, and John was doing stuff out of his backyard and selling whole briskets out of his driveway, and probably selling more than some barbecue places were. And Misty met him, and we had an event the next weekend, the Houston Barbecue Throwdown, and she said something about, hey, this guy John wants to come on down and help. I was like, tell him to come on. And me and John hit it off, man, as friends right then. And he always called himself the Roegels Road Show after that, because he at the time, he still had what he called a corporate job, his cubicle prison, but he was still doing barbecue on the side. He would come help me with all these different things that we were doing while he was building that brand. And finally, one day, before that, let me back up. He came to barbecue camp at A&M and helped out. And me and him have been there every year for 10 years. I had just got a new pit one time. He was cooking on a pit that he had to build the fire every 30 minutes. Well, Misty and myself and my family, we were going on vacation after that. So he took the pit home, which you don't have to build the fire on a Bewley every 30 minutes. I saw the pit about a year later. He had used it. And, but we hit it off, man. We became good friends, and anything he needed help with while he was building his brand or event, I would, be there. He would be there to help us. And, he opened Brotherton's in April of 2017, and he was rocking and rolling, building his brand, and would still come help us. We would help him. We would be at the same events. And, unfortunately, in January of this past year, John passed away. And it was a big blow to not only myself and his family, which his mom and brother are sitting right there, to the entire barbecue community. And, I told Brenda, his wife, I said, Brenda, I said, you were stuck with me before. You knew that. I said, but you definitely are now. And I told her, I said, I'll do whatever I can to keep this restaurant open, because Brenda was not involved with a restaurant. She's a school teacher and has 25 years tenure or something like that being a school teacher. So she asked Marie, I think right off the bat, do I need to quit my job? And she told her, you better not. I said, you better not. You let me help you take care of this restaurant. And so over the past 10 months, I had been helping her. I'd coming up just giving guidance. And then I guess about a month ago, one thing led to another, and we, officially became business partners in it. And we're 50-50 partners. And I told her, I will handle this. You teach. When you're done teaching, when you retire, then you will learn barbecue. And it's not about anything for me except, keeping John's dream alive, what he meant to me, what he meant to barbecue, and helping his family. His son works there as well. So it's, I do it. If it was anybody but John, I'd have been like, sorry, that restaurant's closing. But I told her I'm not letting that happen. As long as I'm breathing, I'll give you everything I got.
And that's one thing I love about the barbecue community. There's a lot of strong ties at family that run through a festival like this, or the story that you told, or even speaking about your wife, Misty, and how she's involved.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. Or how is she involved? How does she help out? And
she's got the raw end of the deal. Misty does the accounting for all three restaurants.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Well, yeah, better her than me, because I'm just, that's not my deal. I go out to the stores. I'm at the two Houston stores, both of them every single day. I come out to Pflugerville every week, whether I spend 1 day here, 2 days here, 3 days here, whatever. But I'm going to be involved in the stores, looking around, trying to make our product, whether it's Roegels or Brotherton's, better than it was the day before. And, make sure the employees are happy, make sure that we're putting out, the best product we can, make sure we're dealing with vendors that we're getting the best price that we can, because in today's world, money's tight and groceries are expensive. So there has to be somebody there looking at that. And so we, that's my role in it, is being the guy who is in charge, and Misty's role is being the person who makes sure the bills get paid, make sure the lights stay on, keeping me in check with events like coming here, because I couldn't tell you what I have going next week or the week after or the week after. All I know is I get up and I handle the restaurants every day. And she's the brains of the operation. I'm the grunt.
And it sounds like, externally, someone may say, hey, you made it, and you have on a lot of metrics that society measures, but you're still working hard. It sounds like you're not kicking back and saying, hey, I made it.
You would think after doing this for over 30 years that I would be the guy that is laid back, sitting down, doing nothing. And I'm not kidding you. I work 7 days a week. I took a week off at 4th of July, which I've never taken 4th of July off in 30 years. Or not 30 years, probably at least 20 some years. Me and Misty went to Florida, and we all hung out with some of my old military friends for a week and consumed some alcoholic beverages and had a great time. And then I went hunting with 25 other barbecue guys a few weeks ago, and with a deal that Ernest Cervantes with Burt Bean put together. Went on a dove hunt with those for a weekend. But other than that, I'm at the stores every day, whether it be at 5 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning till 7 at night. Typically, I leave the house. If I'm not opening, I'm leaving the house at 8 o'clock. It's 15 minutes to our store in Katy. I'll go there, check on things. Once traffic dies down about 9:30 or 10, I'll go to Voss. I'll stay there through lunch. And then about 2:30, I'll head back to Katy and stay there until, sometimes through dinner, and then I'll go home. So till about 6 or 7 o'clock, usually. There have been plenty of times that I've stayed there till 8 o'clock.
Hard work never stops.
Yeah, but I'm not the type of person to sit still. I need to be doing something. I couldn't do what Misty does, sitting in front of a computer doing the accounting and all that. I couldn't be a guy who just sits at home. Even if I'm at home, I'm doing something.
You mentioned the important relationship with vendors, and we're graciously being hosted here by Good Stock. So tell me about how that relationship came about, and give me a little more insight into that.
Well, I'd heard of Good Stock. I remember when Nolan Ryan first opened up, I think it was called Nolan Ryan Beef, and that was, I don't remember when it was. I went to the event in Houston when that started, whenever I was with U.S. Foods. And since then, we've changed briskets, numerous times. And we were using a brisket that we just weren't really happy with. And I had talked to a couple different people in the barbecue side of it about the Good Stock by Nolan Ryan product. They were like, yeah, we're happy with it. And so I sampled it. We really liked it. And we switched our stores to it. And that's the two Roegels stores. We switched to that. I don't remember how many months ago, but we've been happy with it. Great quality product. In the relationship with the vendor side of it, I've dealt with 20 different beef companies at least, and I've never had access to a rep from the actual beef supplier. You can call an 800 number that they give you, but you're not ever going to get an answer. When we signed on with Good Stock with Nolan Ryan, Doug Lomax is the Houston area rep from there, and it's been great. He, anything you need, we got it. Any complaint I have, they take care of it. And it's just, you're not going to get that with another brand. I don't care what they say at the beginning. The last people we were with, they wanted you to become part of their family, and right up until we signed with that, it was that. But now after that, we could never get in touch with the rep. But with these guys, I know I could call Doug right now, and he'd pick up the phone and tell, what do you need? What's great with our product, and they want to know what's not great with it too. What can we do better?
Yeah, that's really great to hear. What do you have planned for the rest of the day today?
Do what?
What do you have planned for the rest of the day?
Well, I haven't eaten anything today, so I think it might have been on the road over there. There were some trompos over there with, I think it had pork on it. That's definitely on the list because I walked by and smelt it. Right now, the only thing I'm thinking is eating. After I get full, then we'll figure out what to do after that. This evening, I don't know what's going to be happening around here. We'll find something to do, but not. We won't be partying all night because we got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah, I heard a rumor about a drone show, so we'll have to see.
About a what show?
Drone show.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's tonight?
That's what I heard.
Well, it wouldn't be tomorrow night. The event's over tomorrow. So, yeah, that'll be cool. So I guess we're not going back to the hotel too early.
Any parting words, thoughts, what's next, anything you want to plug before we wrap?
Man, I just, I love this business. Anybody who eats at any barbecue joint, whether it's mine or any other ones, thanks for supporting Texas barbecue. Thanks for supporting barbecue in general. It's for us that are in the business, for most of it, it's a way of life. It's not just a way to make a living. It's a great family that I have, got to know over the past 30 years, and I'm happy to be a part of it every day. And I'll keep doing this until, I say till I can't do it anymore. I'm on a plan to retire in about 15 years, but it'll probably actually be 30. So I will, whether I'm in my stores every day, I'll always, have barbecue as a part of my life, whether it be in the stores or have barbecue pits at the house. I mean, as of right now, including with Brotherton's pits that we're partnered with, I own, how many is there now? 14 barbecue pits. So I think I'm pretty good in that, and they all run different. I like playing with all of them.
Well, thanks so much for, dedicating your life to this, spending some time with us. You really do have an inspiring story. So really appreciate you sharing that. And I can't wait to continue eating your barbecue. Have a good rest of your festival.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been a great time, and hope to do it again.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That was fun.
Yeah.